in Audacity on my end. And I can send you both files, like no problem. Hi, Laura. No, it's totally fine. I'm with you. Hi, Laura. Oh my goodness. Well, I feel like maybe the last time we chatted on the podcast was for last December, like last year's edition of Spicy Holiday Romance. So since then, I have written my own spicy holiday romance. So that's been kind of probably the most exciting thing. But other than that, the podcast is still alive and well. Boobies and Noobies is going. We're in season 6 now, about to wrap up season 6 in December, and then season 7, I guess, in 2023. I don't know how we got here, but we did it. Right. Yes. All the time. Yeah, because you've been a part of the like me writing the book. You've been a part of the process since the very beginning. We have I think the best thing podcasting has done for the both of us. I say this like I am speaking for you, but at least for me, I'm thinking about how podcasting has kind of built this community for us where we found a lot of people who also love to read romance, who write romance, who blog about romance and podcast about romance, but we all also have like these other, passions, and we support each other and help lift each other up. And so I am so thankful that we have our fantastic little family that we've created, and you guys helped me so much emotionally, mentally, like the list goes on and on as I was writing Meet Me in Los Feliz. Yes. Mhm. Yeah. Yeah, well, and now you guys are stuck with me because now it's like I accidentally somehow wrote myself into like, oh, there needs to be a second book, and like so y'all are stuck with me now, whether you like it or not. Mm, yes. I mean, really, you kind of wrapped it up in a nutshell there. Like, it really was sort of a culmination of all the things I love. Like, I think there were so many times when I thought I knew what I was going to write that I would watch a video or read a story or see a picture of somebody and be like, oh, gotta put that in the book. Oh, we gotta fit this in there somewhere. Oh, there has to be a wiener dog because of course. And it just became this passion project of I want to see people who look like me. I want to see characters who have relationships like I do with my friends. I want to see the representation that I feel like I don't get to see in a lot of the books and movies that I consume. And I am an avid, lifelong lover of holiday romance on the silver screen, on TV, in books. I love it. But I do feel like there is a tremendous lack of holiday romance that takes place in non-snowy tropical climates. And I know that this is something we've bonded over because from a different coast. You're from the East Coast, and I'm from California, where we don't have a white Christmas. We don't get snowed in with billionaires. Like we very much have these like more tropical, temperate Christmases. And so I wanted this to be a combination of all of that. I wanted a fat, tattooed heroine, very representative of somebody like myself who falls into a situationship with a, sexy ginger-haired British man who has moved to Los Angeles. He's also short king. Again, I feel like we don't get enough representation for the shorter gentleman. And they have a, holiday fling. And is it more? Is it not? What comes next after the holidays? And let's make it all happen in Los Angeles, which is not necessarily the most romantic destination for the holiday season. So it's sort of my anti-Christmas letter to Christmas. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I've lived in cities my entire life, or I've lived in like city adjacent smaller cities my entire life. And some of them we've had some snow, some of them it hasn't, but it's something that I've loved, and I can't imagine moving to the small town. And I think something that has always kind of bothered me about holiday romance, and I love it. I love it. Like, don't get me wrong, but I don't like this narrative of somebody leaving the big city to go to the small town temporarily for like a holiday visit to see family, and then deciding on that visit to leave behind everything they've built for themselves in the city. And it's usually for somebody else. It's usually the woman. It's usually the female main character who gives up the career, the apartment, the dope life that she has created for herself in the big city because she fell in love with the small town veterinarian over the course of 2 weeks leading up to Christmas. And I would never do that to myself. And so this is something that I want to see more of in romance. And genuinely, those are the kind of stories that I want to write. I want to write for like the modern day millennial woman who, hasn't necessarily found love at 25, and that's okay. That's okay. And there's nothing wrong with it. I think I've only gotten one review so far from somebody who was like, this woman is 33 and like she's a part-time actress, part-time nanny. Like she hasn't figured out her life yet. And I'm like, that's a good majority of most of my friends. Do we need to figure it out? Like, yeah, I don't know if we ever figure it out. Yeah. Mhm. Mhm. Yes. Mhm. Mhm. And I think it's unreasonable to expect somebody to pick a career at 18 and stick with it until you retire at 60. I think it's unrealistic in a lot of circumstances to expect somebody to marry, the person they fell for at 22 and be with them forever and be happy all the time and have this perfect idyllic life. I'm not saying that doesn't work for some people, but I want the romance I read and the romance that I write to reflect the world that I live in and the people that I know and the experiences that we have. And I know that that is not everybody's shared experience, but I think it is shared by enough people that it deserves to be represented in stories that we see, because it's the same thing with any kind of representation. We want to see, versions of ourselves in stories that we read and watch, because we want to imagine, we want to have that connection, but we also want to imagine like where we could go from here. We want to see like a potential future for ourselves and like what that could look like. And so, yeah, so I wrote a fat tattooed baddie, and she's not necessarily looking for love. Love finds her, and she just kind of has to go with it because she loves him too. How inconvenient. Yeah. It's so true. Well, and like cuffing season is upon us, like, which is such a thing, and just wanting someone to cuddle, but like, oh, I don't want to put in the work for a relationship. And yeah, this was very much, it was a lot of me in this book. And I'm thankful that that's gotten across, because I've had a lot of people reach out and say, oh my God, Kelly, it feels like I knew this was your book. I could tell this was you. And I honestly, that's the best compliment. It is available in KU, so you can read it for free if you have Kindle Unlimited. It's also available as a paperback and ebook on both Amazon and Barnes and Noble. And I think that's it for now. Although I have talked to a couple small business, small bookstore retailers who are planning to stock it in November and December. So potentially it'll be available there. And I think the best way to, if you do want to shop local and buy it from smaller bookstores or even get it in your library, is to reach out to those booksellers and librarians and tell them you want to see this book in their store, in their library, so you can read it. And I would love that too. I would love to see it in libraries. So if that's what you want, reach out, scream about it in a polite way, and let me know if it happens. We'll see. Oh, God. Okay. If you're counting on me, we'll make it happen. Mm. Proud of you. Mm-hmm. I mean, the 12 days of Boobsmas is probably the busiest time of year for me, but also the most fun. Like I look forward to this all year, because what nut job was like, I want to read and podcast about 12 holiday romances in 1 month. Like a raving lunatic. It's me. And I'm here for it. And so that is basically, in the month of December, I read and review 12 holiday romances on 12 mini podcast episodes. You will hear Laura on one of them this season of Boobsmas. She is the fourth day of Boobsmas. And I also do 12 giveaways of holiday romance books that I collect from authors and publishers and publicists who are kind enough to donate some copies of. So I'm doing giveaways for, some new published holiday romance, as well as a few from the last couple of years. And obviously you can find out about everything we're reading and books we're giving away all on the Boobies and Noobies social media. It's at Boobies Podcast across the board: Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, except on TikTok, because they think I'm making porn when I use the name Boobies. So it's at Real Kelly Ray on TikTok. Oh, love them, hate them, all of it. But yeah, no, I'm excited. I feel like I always get so excited picking out the books for Boobsmas, but the same thing happens every year where I'm a planner. I try to plan ahead and I try to have all of the books picked by like mid-October so that I can begin recording in late October, early November. And then the same thing happens every year where authors will all of a sudden announce that they're writing a holiday romance after I've already picked out the books we're reading. So come October, November, it's surprise. My hot, spicy alien Santa Krampus, snowed in holiday romance comes out December 1st, and they throw off my entire schedule because I want to read all of them. And so I was pretty good this year. I only made a few last minute changes. So I'm proud of me. Mm-hmm. I know. Yeah, if you're writing a holiday romance, I needed to come out before December because, or at least if it's something that you want people to cover on like blogs and podcasts and everything, because come December, it's too late. Yes. Yeah. It's true. Yeah. Hmm. And that's exactly what it is I remember there are some books that I've been reading or like I've had them on my TBR list since last December when they came out because I had already read and reviewed all of the books for the 12 Days of Boobsmas. And by the time that's done, I'm done. I kind of just want to take a break at that point. And so it's the same thing, but then you're right. More books come out, and then you want to read the new books and talk about those. And I will say, I think the majority of the books that we are covering for Boobsmas this year all did come out in 2022. They are all from like the last couple of months between September and November releases. So we are covering a lot more current Christmas and holiday romance. I can't just say Christmas either because we do have, I think there's 2 Hanukkah picks and 1 Kwanzaa romance. That's a first for me. I haven't done a Kwanzaa romance before. Me too. Okay, let me bring it up real fast. Okay, I think it's this one. Okay, I think this is the one. It's called Forbidden Kisses with Her Millionaire Boss, which by no means sounds Christmassy. I recognize that, or holiday-ish, by Hannah Sheik. And it's actually going to be our last episode we do for the year. It's going to be the 12th day of Boobsmas, closing out the season, closing out the year, closing out Boobsmas, with our good friends Bree and Aaron from Categorically Romance podcast. So yeah. So I'm excited, but yeah, I'm with you. I think we have this in common is we love reading things that are new to us. We love, being the newbie, so to speak, every once in a while. Because I think when you've been reading romance for as long as we have, sometimes there are just things that it doesn't feel new. Like it's hard to find things that surprise you. And so when you do find something that's new or foreign to you, like you want to investigate, you want to find out more. So I'm excited. Yes. Mm-hmm. Okay, so I will say, I'm going to preface this by saying I feel like I shared my best ones last year for our last spicy holiday romance. And I think this is a problem. I think there are not enough holiday romances that have spicy scenes. I really think people, when they think of holiday romance, are just like, oh, it's cute, it's cozy. That's great, but that doesn't mean that they don't need to fuck. Like I'm like, I would love for there to be more holiday romance that also is spicy. So that being said, I do have a few. So one of them is okay, hold on one sec. One of them is called His Sugar Plum by Frankie Love. Okay. Yeah, and I want to say this was like part of an interconnected. It's not that it was an anthology, but I think it was kind of like a series of holiday books that came out from a few different authors, and we read one of the ones from a different author for a previous Boobsmas, and I picked this one up as well, and I did love that. If I'm remembering it correctly, I do think the heroine is on the curvier side, which I always do appreciate. And I mean, I'm a sucker for a fun title. Like that's what always gets me, is like the punny titles. But hold on one sec. Oh, and then of course the other tie-in is the hero, the male main character, is a growly, bearded virgin, and I do love it. I love to see it. I love to see the woman who's maybe like a little more experienced than the male character. So yeah, that's what I liked a lot about this book. Yeah. The other ones, I do have one that I'm reading right now, and I haven't finished it yet, but this is one that we're going to be covering on the 12 Days of Boobsmas. And this is, again, it's part of an interconnected series amongst a few different authors. And I shared an alien holiday romance last time we spoke, so I feel like it's only appropriate for me to share another alien holiday romance. And this one is called Cinta. And yes, that's right. It's a combination of sin and Santa. Cinta. And I think the subtitle is A Sci-Fi Holiday Tale, TAIL, Stranded with an Alien. So this is the Stranded with an Alien series. And I think there's at least 7 or 8 books in this series, and they're all out this year. They all came out in November 2022. But yes, he is an alien. She is a human. And she is stuck in a remote cabin. There's no power, no cell service, a classic, and he basically crash lands on Earth, and oops, I have to survive here. And, of course they meet and they learn how to warm each other up. So good. So good. I have one more that I think is like a genuine holiday romance that is spicy. And then I have one more that, while it isn't necessarily a holiday romance, there is a lot of holidays in it. So the last one I did want to recommend is called Being Merry. And you and I talked about this one a little bit already, but it is a Woman Loves Woman, 2 women romance by Mika James. And it's part of a series that she's written, all of which take place in Arizona. And so that was kind of what drew me in, was like a holiday romance that didn't take place in a snowy, wintry cabin for once. I think this was actually probably the first holiday romance that I read. It was either last year or the year before that wasn't taking place in, either New York City or remote Vermont. And so that was kind of the thing that really drew me in. And it is such a fun take on Grumpy Sunshine because we have one character who is super grinchy and plays video games and is very introverted. And then the other character is just a burst of sunshine who loves Christmas. She wears reindeer antlers. She wears sweaters that light up. She wears knee-high striped candy cane socks. And of course her name is Noelle because duh. And so it was just so cute. And that one does definitely get spicy between the two of them. There is toy play. We covered it on a previous Boobsmas episode. So if you want to hear more about it and hear me talk how much I love about it and even read a little mini excerpt from it, you can check that out as well. So those would be like my 3 spicy holiday recommendations for this year. And then the last one I just want to leave people with is called Irresistible You by Kate Meador. And this is from one of my all-time favorite hockey romance series. And I know that there's a million hockey romance series out there. So that's saying something for me to tell you that this is like one of my favorites. And I loved this book. This was one of the first books we reviewed for Boobies and Noobies way back when. And there's a section of the book that, because it takes place in the fall, they spend Thanksgiving together. It's kind of the first time things get like a little sexy between them, is they have this like weekend Thanksgiving fuck fest amongst the two of them. So that kind of their sexual relationship basically kickstarts during the holidays. And we have Thanksgiving, we have Christmas, there's Christmas shopping together, and it takes place in Chicago, which I know, Laura and I have both lived in Chicago, so there's mention of the Chris Kindle market. There's mention of them going Christmas shopping and like what the city looks like, during the winter time. But you will read this book and you will never forget one of the sex scenes because it happens while, not before, not after, while they are playing video games, like together. I'm just going to leave that image with you and then you can interpret that as you will. But it's stuff like that that makes you remember a book. So that's that. That's what I've got for you. Yeah, I mean, if the porn industry is involved, chances are it's going to be like a little bit spicy. Mm-hmm. Mm. Classic. I can't. Mm. Well, sure. Right. She's like, I want a divorce. And he's like, how about a job instead? Hey, that's not bad. That's a pretty sweet deal. You know what? It's so funny. The more you talked about those first two books, I was like, this sounds so familiar. And I realized I didn't read the first two books, but I read the third book in this series. Yes. Hmm. Oh, yeah, of course. Hmm. Yeah, that's important. Mm. Hmm. Okay. Yeah, and you know what's so funny? And the only reason this is on my mind is because literally before the day we're recording this morning I met a friend for coffee, and this is a friend from college, but we happen to live in the same town now. And her family runs a Christmas tree farm. Like, and I've heard all of the stories about it from over the years. And let me tell you, it does not sound like a romantic place to work or meet someone in the least. And she's just I bring it up all the time. I'm like, girl, when are you getting your like Hallmark movie romance? And she's like, I am at my least sexy when I am slinging Christmas trees. Like, there is no way anybody would want to pursue me. Oh, yeah. He's not even there. Mm-mm. Nice. If you're looking for another Christmas Tree Farm book. Mm. Oh my goodness. Well, I am like knee deep in holiday, tinsel deep in holiday romance reading because I'm, recording all of the 12 Days of Boobsmas episodes. So right now I'm finishing up You're a Mean One, Matthew Prince by Timothy Janofsky. And that's like a new holiday romance release. I'm really enjoying it so far. And then after that, let me think what's up next. Next up will be Snowbound in Her Boss's Bed by Marcella Bell. And that's another Boobsmas read. I think it is one of the Hanukkah romances we're reading this season. It's a category romance. I've got two category romances in the mix, and I blame Brie from Categorically Romance. Like I really think she's, turning me on to the category romance because she's right. They're quick reads. They're usually on the spicier side, just depending on what category you're reading. And the title tells you everything you're gonna get out of it. So Snowbound in Her Boss's Bed, I already know where this is going. Yes. Yes. Yes, I'm here for it. I think honestly more romances need to tell me exactly what's going to happen on the title. And that's how I'll know. I will 100% judge your book by its cover and title. You can find me at Boobies Podcast across the socials. I also am trying to, now that I'm writing books, trying to, maybe get people to come follow me as a writer too. And so I'm at Real Kelly Ray, Rey, on all the socials as well. And that would be like myself and my writing. And then of course, Boobies and Noobies, you can find past episodes, blog posts, whatever is related to the podcast on boobiesandnoobies.com. And you can listen to episodes wherever you stream your podcast, just wherever you're listening to this podcast. Chances are you will also find Boobies and Noobies. Thank you. All right. Stop. In the name of love. Okay. Got it. Got it.